A lobster, one of the finer delicacies of life. There is nothing more tasteful than eating a soft, succulent piece of lobster. A friend of mine recently sent me a YouTube video of a speaker by the name of Dr. Abraham Tversky. In this video, Dr. Tversky had a speech talking about the connection of how a lobster grows and equated that to our personal growth. Now I enjoy culinary cooking and wine, as you can see. So while I'm cooking, I'm going to discuss the translation of Dr. Tversky's speech using my version. At first appearance, the lobster looks like a very lowly creature. We know it has a vulnerable soft body which is protected by an extremely hard shell. Through many of our emotional experiences, which in many cases may have involved traumatic events in our lives, we are like a lobster. We try to protect our vulnerable insides with a hard shell that is impenetrable to protect us from the outside world. Now question, just like the lobster, have you ever asked yourself how a lobster grows? If its shell is hard, is rock, almost impenetrable to break? Just as a protection we envelop around ourselves to keep from getting hurt or disappointed by the outside world, the lobster does the same to protect itself. But again, back to the question, how does a lobster grow? It is a very fascinating natural phenomenon that a lobster grows by becoming uncomfortable in its own shell. What happens is that the lobster grows against its own shell to the point of discomfort, which initiates a process called molting. Basically, the old shell splits, allowing the lobster to pull itself out of the old shell and start a new growth process. This is a fascinating process to watch on YouTube if you ever get the chance. Now during this time, the lobster will hide somewhere while its new shell, which is now soft and pliable, to protect itself from predators, while its shell is becoming hard again. Our lives are no different. The only way we can grow is to get outside of our comfort zone. We have to crack our own shell, which many times has been created by fear, disappointment, sadness, regret, low self-esteem. And like lobster, the only way to get out of our shell is to take some time for yourself in a peaceful, quiet place and slowly but surely wiggle out of your own shell to start a new growth process. But the incredible thing is, the lobster never stops this process. This goes on many times throughout the entire lifespan of the lobster. My message to you is that we are no different. Our growth is a lifelong process that occurs during many phases of our lives, and not just once. But the key thing is getting out of our comfort zone. I know it's not a good feeling at first, but once we get through this process, we come out with growth being bigger, better, and stronger every time we go through this process. So remember, the next time you eat a lobster, recognize how change occurs in your life. Now to the more important stuff. I'm about to cook one of my favorite lobster recipes, which is very, very simple. It's essentially lobster, garlic, and butter. And rather than boiling, which most people do with lobster, you can grill it or bake it. And it's a very quick, simple process which doesn't take too much time. In addition to that, I'll have a carrot quinoa puree. And I'll show you the recipe. I won't go into all the details in the cups. I'll just show you the process. Email me and I will definitely email you back with the recipe. Hope you enjoy. Alright, first process is you cut the lobster right in the middle to open it up. Reason for that is when you pour the butter, it will get around the side and the garlic and everything will give it a nice flavor. Okay. Alright. We'll set those aside. And of course, the important thing, wine.
Next process is peel the garlic. Mince it. Okay. Set this aside. We'll be using this for the garlic butter. This is a shallot, for those that don't know. You can get it pretty much at most stores, HEB, Fiesta, Whole Foods. It's a version of a small onion. Alright, with the shallots, we'll be adding the shallots to some carrots, quinoa, and some chicken stock into a blender. I'm going to blend it at a high speed until it's very, very smooth, and put that into a pot and let it simmer until about a third of the liquid has drawn off. Should be almost the consistency of baby food. And we'll use that as a base to lay the lobster on top, but it's really, really good. Add some salt and pepper for flavoring. I like mine very, very spicy. And the next step will be to cook the butter, get it with the garlic, and I'll cover the lobster with the butter, which I'll show you in a few minutes, and then just put it into the oven. I like to grill it because I like the smoky smell, but because it's raining outside, inside, I'm going to just resort to putting it in the oven. And it won't take too long, maybe 15 to 20 minutes at most, but let me show you in a few minutes. The carrot puree base, as I said, was carrots, quinoa, shallots, and chicken stock. Next up is going to be pepper, my favorite. Himalayan rock salt. And we are going to puree this. And folks, use the Vitamix for a mixer. I'm impartial to them. This is the butter and the garlic that I just chopped up, which I let it simmer for about 15 minutes to just get enough of the garlic flavoring. Next thing you do is just slather the whole top and bottom lobster, the butter, and again, it's much more flavorful if you can grill this rather than put it in the oven. But of course, we can't do that. Split it open with your hand and get it all into the flesh portion here. One of the big mistakes that people make with lobsters is they'll take it directly out of the refrigerator and start to cook it if they grill it. Try to get it up to room temperature. It tends to cook more evenly rather than where the center tends to be uncooked and cook it too fast. But that's one of the big secrets, is to put it out and let it get up to room temperature. Don't let it sit out for hours, or maybe about 30 minutes or so. Okay. After you put the butter on the lobster, put the oven at about 350 degrees, and I'll bake it for about 20 minutes. And about the last 10-15 minutes, depending on the size of the lobster, I'll put on a broil to get the nice, the top portion, kind of a really browned crust. Again, this is the oven version. The grill is much, much better. You get the smoke and you get the burnt edges. That's the best way to do it, I find. But anyway, we'll wait, give about another 30 minutes, and it should be ready to eat. In the meantime, alright, just finished doing the carrot and quinoa puree here. So next step is to ladle it into a bowl or a plate. There you go. I should use this bowl. That's okay though. Okay. Almost finished. the oven. Things hot, 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 hot. Place the lobster just like this for style, presentation. And the next up, I'm kind of doing a shortcut. I usually put chives in here, but parsley will do. Parsley there. Parsley there. Not parsley, cilantro. Oh. Pepper. And I like more salt. So, this is, we'll probably do this in about 30 minutes. Like I said, email me and I'll give you the exact recipe. It's a really, really good impromptu if you want to impress your girlfriend or your wife, or if you're just hungry. Like, really delicious and healthy for you too. Bon appetit.